Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So in today's video, even though Kamala Harris isn't yet the official nominee for the Democrats to face off against Donald Trump coming up in November, is looking more and more like she will be, given the fact that pretty much any other serious candidate has already thrown their support behind Kamala. And they've also said that they are not going to be running against her. Joe Manchin has said that he is not going to be running against her. So she really doesn't have any competition at this point in time, and it doesn't look like they're going to have another primary. So even though American voters haven't actually voted for her, she's going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party, which in my opinion at least is one of the most undemocratic things that can actually take place. But in today's video, we're actually going to be covering some of her previous proposals. That would be like universal basic income, where she was recommending the government to send out Americans $2,000 monthly stimulus checks. These payments could have been up to like $10,000 per family. And then we're going to be covering some of her other bills as well, which were for a lesser amount, but still universal basic income. But before we dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock, is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so once again, Kamala Harris, way back before she was the vice president, of course, she was a U.S. senator representing the state of California. So she has held previous roles before becoming the vice president, before being selected for Biden being his VP, and now potentially becoming the president of the United States if she can defeat Donald Trump. We are going to be going over some recent polling later on in today's video. But back during the pandemic, if you can remember all the different stimulus checks and stimulus check proposals that were out there, one of the craziest ones, believe it or not, were actually from the current VP of the United States in Kamala Harris. She was recommending sending out monthly checks to all Americans, $2,000 per month, and it could also be up to 3 children, so a family of 3, married family of 3 children. In that case, it would be a $10,000 payments going out to that family in that case. There were some income requirements and things like that, but we are going to be going over this bill that she had, plus another bill even before the pandemic took place, where she was also recommending, stimulus checks going out to certain Americans. So according to AEI here, she authored, of course, what could be the most expensive bill ever. This, of course, was back in October of 2020. So during last week's vice presidential debate, one key topic, Senator Kamala Harris's May 2020 pandemic universal basic income proposal went curiously unmentioned. That's surprising, since her legislation could be the most expensive bill ever introduced in Congress, offering ample fodder for Republicans looking to define Senator Harris's liberal record. Harris's bill proposes monthly payments of $2,000 for most Americans through the pandemic and beyond. UBI plans typically call for government payments to everyone, sufficient to cover basic needs. To be fair, Harris's legislation falls short of universal, since payments would phase out for some higher income households. Nonetheless, the vast majority of Americans would qualify for monthly checks, and for them, Harris's bill amounts to the most generous UBI proposal ever introduced in Congress. It also far outstrips UBI proposals by other former Democratic presidential candidates, both in the size of payments and the number of recipients. For example, Andrew Yang touted monthly $1,000 per adult freedom dividends, which he argued were needed to replace earnings lost due to the supposed robot apocalypse of automation ahead. Senator Bernie Sanders in March proposed $2,000 monthly payments to every household in America for the duration of the crisis. Harris actually upped that ante to $2,000 per month per adult, plus adds $2,000 monthly payments to as many as 3 children. That means that a household of 5, a mom, a dad, and 3 children, would receive an astonishing $10,000 per month under her legislation. Payments would flow regardless of whether adults and naturally children were working. The only exception would be households with adjusted gross income above $100,000 as a single individual, $150,000 as a head of household, and $200,000 as a married couple for whom payments would rapidly phase out. But since people in those households, along with children and families of 6 or more, make up fewer than 1 in 5 U.S. residents, the vast majority of U.S. residents would receive $2,000 payments each month. So under her proposal, basically there could be a married couple with 3 children. They could be earning like $190,000 per year. And under that proposal, and on top of the $190,000 income they're already receiving, which is more than enough to cover bills, they would be receiving an additional $10,000 per month under that proposal. Just completely insane. Now they go on to say that unsurprisingly, Harris's legislation does not include offsets, so its costs would be added to already massive deficits. There is also no official score, but if we conservatively assume that 75% of 330 million U.S. residents would be eligible for $2,000 payments, the cost would be a staggering $500 billion per month, or $6 trillion per year, far exceeding the current cost of all federal programs as well as any prior relief proposal. For comparison, the March 2020 CARES Act cost around $1.7 trillion. Even House Democrats' May 2020 HEROES Act, estimated to cost $3.5 trillion, falls short of the likely cost of Harris's legislation. What is unknown about Harris's bill could be even more important. It calls for payments until 3 months after the health emergency ends. There's no telling when that could be. Now, looking back, now in July of 2024, who knows when Biden would have actually called the end to the health crisis and how long these payments would have continued going out. And as they mentioned there, it was going to cost $6 trillion per year if 75% of Americans were eligible for the payment. That's on the conservative end. It very well could have been 80, 85, 90% of Americans that ended up being eligible for these payments. And in that case, it could have cost, $8 to $10 trillion per year. And of course, it wasn't just during the pandemic that she was suggesting such things, these $2,000 monthly payments. Even before the pandemic took place, back in 2019, when, yes, she was a senator in California, a U.S. senator representing California, she was also calling on something called Lift the Middle Class Act. And you can see here that she had called for giving $3,000 per person or $6,000 per couple in the form of a refundable tax credit for most middle and working class Americans. So again, even though this is a tax credit, it could have eventually been like a, like monthly payments or something like that. Throughout her career as a senator, she was very much in support of, UBI, Universal Basic Income, and things like that. And of course, even though $3,000 isn't that much per year, that definitely is something that would have cost a lot. It would have caused our national debt to soar up even more. And right now, why exactly is that important? Well, she does end up defeating Trump in November, even though she won't be able to sign these through executive law or anything like that through executive order. It is something that she can definitely push Congress to get through. But if we look at some recent polling here, according to Real Clear Politics, on average, Trump does lead by 1.7 points. Yesterday, we went over that recent poll by Reuters where Harris was actually leading Trump by 2 points. But we've had 2 recent polls since then as well from CNN and NPR. In both of these polls, Trump actually leads. He leads the CNN poll by 3 points, and he leads the NPR poll by 1 point. And then if we go out to the 5-way, where it's Trump versus Harris versus RFK Jr., versus Stein versus West, Trump actually leads by an average of 2.8 points. And then, of course, if we look at the battlegrounds, these are going to be the most important states, because these are the states where, it could really turn either way, where it could go Trump or Harris. And these are going to be the states that truly decide the election, because we know for sure that California is going to vote for Harris, Florida is going to vote for Trump, for example, but Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, these are states that really could go either way. And right now, Trump does have a lead in all of these states. Of course, there are other important ones as well, not shown up there, that we don't really have that good of polling data on yet, such as Nevada, But we're definitely going to have to wait and see on that. And of course, we do have some debates coming up. We have a debate. It was supposed to be Biden versus Trump on ABC coming up on September 10th. Trump, of course, recently has said that ABC is going to be very left-leaning liberal and it's not going to be fair to him, and he doesn't really like that debate taking place, that he thinks it's not going to be fair for him, but he said he's still going to carry out that debate on September 10th. And Fox has also recently called on Harris and Trump to have a debate as well, sometime either in late September, possibly October for them. Not sure whether or not Kamala Harris will agree to that. Biden, of course, did not want to have that debate on Fox because he does not want to have a debate on any, any network that's not going to be more friendly to him, I guess. But now that Kamala Harris is the new candidate, pretty much we'll have to wait and see whether or not she will agree to that debate taking place on Fox News. But leave your thoughts and comments below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. We'd definitely love to read them. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.